The Southern Poems of the War, collected and arranged by Miss Emily B. Mason, Baltimore, John Murphy and Company, Publishers, 182 Baltimore Street, 1867. Entered according to Act of Congress in the year 1866 by John Murphy in the Clerk's Office of the District Court of Maryland. These poems, the offspring of Southern hearts, sung by Southern firesides and Southern campfires, are affectionately inscribed to the Southern soldiers by one who admired their heroism, sympathized with their successes, mourned their sufferings, and shared their privations. No marble slab or graven stone their gallant deeds to tell, no monument to mark the spot where they with glory fell. Their names shall yet a herald find in every tongue of fame, when valley, stream, and minstrel voice shall ring with their acclaim. Preface. In the beginning of the war, I conceived the design of collecting and preserving the various war poems which, born of the excited state of the public mind, then inundated our newspapers. For a time I carried out this intention, but a very busy life soon obliged me to relinquish it, so that I am indebted to the kindness of friends for most of the later poems in this collection. Traveling since the war through many portions of the South, I have heard everywhere the wish expressed that these poems should be collected and published in a form so cheap as to be accessible to all. This desire I have endeavored to fulfill. Besides a memorial volume to preserve these songs expressive of the hopes and triumphs and sorrows of a lost cause, I have another design, to aid by its sale the education of the daughters of our desolate land, to fit a certain number for teachers, that they may take to their homes and spread amongst the different Southern states the knowledge of those accomplishments which else may be denied them. I appeal to all good people to aid me in this effort to provide for the women of the South, the future mothers of the country, the timely boon of education. Many of these children are the orphans of soldiers, from whom they have inherited nothing but an honorable name, and the last hours of more than one of whom I was enabled to soothe by the promise that I would do something for the little ones they left behind them. That promise, I trust, this humble effort may enable me in part to redeem. Emily V. Mason. Emily Virginia Mason was born in Lexington, Kentucky on October 15, 1815. She was an American poet and served as a nurse with the Confederate Army during the Civil War. Her father was lawyer John Thompson Mason, a Federal marshal and hero of the Texas Revolution. Emily Mason grew up in Kentucky, Michigan, and Virginia, and in her formative years was educated at the Emma Willard School in New York. By the 1850s, she had settled in Alexandria, Virginia. Early in the Civil War, Emily fled further south after the Union Army occupied her native Fairfax County. During her time as a nurse, Emily worked to establish a hospital in White Sulphur Springs. She would later work as a nurse in hospitals in Charlottesville, Lynchburg, and Richmond, writing accounts of her work in local newspapers. She took care of wounded soldiers, and one time she gathered a large Christmas feast for the men in her care. According to one source, Emily, having acquired a pair of General Robert E. Lee's old socks, used the socks to intimidate, shame, and inspire men into rejoining their units. By April 1865, Mason was working as a nurse and matron at Winder Hospital in Richmond, Virginia. After the end of the Civil War in 1865, Emily wrote and published a number of poems about the war. These poems sold well, and she used the funding to support girls' education in the South. In the 1870s, she traveled to Paris to teach at an American school for the girls in the city and would eventually become principal of the school. She returned to the United States in 1884. She died in Georgetown, Washington, D.C. on February 16, 1909. Thank you for stopping by, Lady Carrie Ann.